Hello, and welcome to this video where we'll go through a headquarters tour with INSTRUO. I was heading up to Glasgow to see them for some other work together and to take a look at some of the other things they're working on, but while I was there we filmed this headquarters tour. Now I arrived on a Friday, and we shot some things when I arrived. There's quite a bit of mixture of footage I'm going to cut between, but a few days later on the Sunday, Jason and I went round the building and actually kind of shot this amazing creative space that they're in and just toured around, and I wanted to share that with you. So first, let's just get into the travel.
Here we are around the natives of Glasgow Central, and I just hope that they can accept me as one of their own.
And no stop in Glasgow would be complete without heading over to Signal Sounds. And armed with goodies and treats, we go on to INSTRUO.
Who's that then?
Hello, hello. There's two doors.
There's two doors.
See you. You got time for a coffee? Or you need to scoot?
I've got to run, but
Hey man. Hey, how you doing, Ben? Good to see you, man. Yeah, man. Good. Yes. Oh yes.
So we're here at INSTRUO HQ. Here's Jason.
Hello.
And Winston. He's a very good boy.
A Sunday morning, which is generally quieter, although there's a class on all weekend, so we'll get this
Yeah.
in and done before hordes of folk arrive.
Yeah, it's just a nice time to introduce. It's not just you in the building.
Yeah. So this is INSTRUO HQ and also subSine Academy, which is Simon in there. We met kind of before us even started INSTRUO, and like I definitely came down and visited Simon in Glasgow on a trip when I was back in Scotland from the US, and eventually when INSTRUO got going, I was subletting from a little pokey basement dungeon. It was a dungeon, yeah. And you couldn't move without bashing your head on some of the piping and stuff. But because I think you'd been looking at like commercial properties and stuff. We realised if we pool resources, we can probably get something that is going to fit the both of us. So this is now INSTRUO HQ and subSine Academy. When we got in, this was complete like just disaster zone, empty shell. So we renovated the foyer because we needed somewhere to put the arcade machine.
Of course.
The classroom and my main downstairs workshop. And for a while it was just that, and this was all just like carnage, open space. Like it was basically warehouse storage, and then upstairs was like a really grim, like drop ceiling office space, which you'll have seen on a trip many years ago.
Yeah,
when we were still at the old place. Yeah,
Just as we kind of came up to define Oct in person.
yeah.
I think concrete was being poured in here.
Yeah, you'll come in like mid renovation.
Floor tiles definitely worked down. There was definitely no arcade machine. So it'd just be nice to show people the space.
Yeah,
It's such
definitely.
an impressive building, set of studios. We'll hear more from Simon and subSine in a little bit. Workspace, assembly space.
Studios.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely grown to be pretty nicely fleshed out space that we can all work in. Because during COVID especially, that was when the main expansion was, where I had to grow the team so that we could actually keep up with demand. So this was the first workshop room that got done up. So soldering stations around the perimeter. It used to be just those four, added an extra two there. I kind of set up so this has always been my development desk, and I've just steadily grown the computer monitor to get it bigger and bigger over.
We have serious caffeination. We'll do some how to caffeinate with INSTRUO. The top secrets to Scottish caffeination.
Yeah, so this is kind of, as it's evolved, this is where I work, doing day-to-day admin, busy work, and R&D. Noah has taken over these 2 desks now. He's back in France for a couple of weeks.
He's a double desker.
Yeah, he is. I mean, like, it was an idea we came up with. This was after Superbooth, and we came back and said, okay, we need to blitz this place because it's just unmanageable. Like the calibration rack used to be there, and it was just, it's functionally messy now. Like before, it was less functionally messy. So it's
well, I've added to some of the mess I've made myself at home the past couple of days.
Yeah, let's go up first, and then we can come back and end in the studio.
Okay.
Because that's the newest part of the building and the fancy part. So this is the main production room. I've kind of lost track of timing of when things were renovated, because like this was all, yeah, like that sort of line.
Yeah, this was dropped off.
That was drop ceiling. So we kind of opened up and added a lot more space. So this is PCB assembly, storage, the main assembly stations.
I quite like the contemplative
Yeah, like once this was
corner.
set up, I was like, I need a chair, like, you know, like from
A thinking chair.
a thinking chair. That scene in The Matrix. It just needs to be something grand. So this was a Gumtree find.
It's either that or it's like the old man sat with a rifle watching over the entrance to his property.
Yeah, it's good. And then TV for mostly viewing horror movies. That was a tradition that we kind of got into every October. It's just through all of October, it's just working through as many horror movies as we can, but that always spills out into November, December, and
Yeah. Slasher films and Luba assembly.
This was one of the. This must have been one of the first rooms that I had renovated upstairs when we started moving in, because we needed. Well, we didn't need a jam space. We didn't need a room for making music.
You did need a jam space.
We kind of did.
You
I think
needed
it's
a band space. Come on.
Yeah, so this has kind of become just a collective hoard of instruments. Like I had so much stuff just in storage over years that I've been able to like bring out. So there's, you know, some of my amps are now downstairs in my studio, but yeah, there's a collection of amps and a.
Yeah, I had some fun in here earlier. You were saying generally the thing is, if it's in here, it's to play with.
Yeah.
Everybody's welcome, kind of open gear space, jam room, music room.
Yep. Yeah, at one point there were, I think the peak it maybe hit, there were 4 Fender Rhodes.
I was going to say, this is one of the 3 that are still here.
Yeah, Jimmy's was here for a bit. I think that must be Matthews, I think. Yeah, Keane's was in here for a bit. So there was a point where there was Keane's, Matthews, Jimmy's. I got one later on, which is down in my studio. Simon's had one for years. So yeah, there were like 4 or 5 Fender Rhodes in the building, which... and I didn't even play keyboards. I'm a crap keyboard player, so... There's
something about just kind of letting your hand just fall on a Fender Rhodes, though. There's just some magic about that.
Yeah, so the plan is... this was rearranged quite recently, so the kit used to be here the whole time, but it's now over there, and this is going to be consolidated a bit more. Sebastian's got a baby grand in storage.
Of course he has.
So, yeah, we'll get that in here at some point. And
you don't have a baby grand in here, and that's an issue. I've not seen Rototoms for a while.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they might be Adams, but I might be entirely making that up. Like, I think...
I kind of like that gear appears and everybody's not quite sure.
And it just gets absorbed.
Who brought in the Rototoms? I don't know. They just appeared. Yeah, no, it's really cool.
You know. Yeah, this is where like the bulk of the sample library got recorded for the looper. Which we're in the midst of sample library recording for the Arbor, but it's just a rage room as well as just creative space. And
rage room
there's actually
baseball bats.
as of 2 months ago, I'm now renting a basement space in the building next door, just as overflow storage, but we're counting that with a backline as well. So I managed to get a second-hand Gretsch that's it's a massive 24-inch bass drum, so the thing is loud.
the third drum kit.
Yeah, third drum kit. Well, arguably fourth, because there's
Well, yeah, I did. I
there.
don't know if there's an old D drum kit.
Yeah,
maybe?
and there's an old what I thought was a Rogers kit. It was branded as a Pearl Export. This was my friend Sinky's. It was, you know, we were flatmates in Perth many years ago, and that's his kit from when he lived up in Wick. And we don't know what it is. The plan was to do that up for the basement room, but it ended up being cheaper to just buy the second-hand shell pack. So we've now got an extra drum set. That's fine. You can never have too many. But yeah, so it means that the basement room, that can kind of become what this was to an extent, which is, you know, rehearsal space. Finn's got a band going on, so he has band practices in here occasionally when it's free. But downstairs, that can be more of a traditional rehearsal space. The plan is to start playing with some projects that will be, you know, maybe forming like a jazz trio or jazz quartet type ensemble structure, but then fleshing out each of the instruments' roles with modular stuff and trying to find natural ways of including like synth processing or synth voices into the mix, and then documenting that to kind of just show practical examples of using the gear in context, because I'm currently doing a deep dive on integrating acoustic drums with modular and using like some of the sensory percussion pickups. Live processing, live looping, all controlled from, you know, using the snare drum as a controller essentially, which is working very well in studio. I gigged it for the first time a few months ago, and it was fine during sound check, but then come the actual thing, the level of the sub was so much that it just completely threw off the snare sensor. So
I've had that with electronic kits, never mind sensors, where just vibration bodies in a room, it starts firing off snare drum hits.
Because it was meant to be like hitting, striking position from the center of the snare to the rim. That was mapped from, you know, to give me +5 to 0, -5 voltage.
Okay, so you were using across the snare drum as a voltage
that was
range.
multiplied with velocity to give me, so I could do like a strike in the center, and that would give me enough to trigger a reverb through the arbor, and then I could do that and then hit it again at the rim, do a rim shot, and that would flip it to being a -5 voltage going to the mod CV. So I'd be able to get like a snare hit and reverb throw from just striking in location, and it was surprisingly accurate until it's playing in a room with a massive sub.
Little 3D printing room. I've just put my head in.
Yeah.
Suppose not too much to see, but there's also a little.
Yeah, this was a
crannies.
bathroom originally in the you know the layout of the old space, but like, 'cause there was a partition wall here, I think, and there was an actual like bathroom and sink, but we ripped it out because we needed somewhere with an extractor we could run the 3D printer for doing various bits and bobs. Like we use, you know, we're 3D printing the bits that go on the drills for tightening the brass nuts.
Got you.
So that's the process.
There we go.
But that's gone through many iterations where getting the right size of O-ring that would just be able to do a tension fit and roll it on without hitting the other jacks, especially on the TSL where things are so close. Like it would, a previous version, it would just shatter the bit.
Yeah.
Then we've got other things like this. So that is, can you tell what that is?
Oct.
It's Oct, yeah. So this is like the 3D printed jig that parts go on, sits on, and then all the LEDs are at a consistent height. So it means that we can just run out and do retooling or reshaping and print what we need.
Almost looked like an Oct bar of soap for a second.
Yeah. Massive gummy Oct. And this is the multi-purpose space, which you see from last night, that was set up for the live premiere of the Superbooth documentary. And
yeah, you premiered the Superbooth documentary. We had a patron hangout, which is just showing people the space a little bit.
Yeah. So
INSTRUO monster case.
Yep.
Mini Tonto from the Human League, effectively.
Yeah, this is still work in progress. We've got this fitted in, so we've planned to put like some shelves up, and this is where the whiskey collection will go.
It's the equivalent of the Superbooth absinthe bar. We've got the little INSTRUO whiskey corner.
Yeah. Oh, there is actually even absinthe here. So that's, for anyone that plays Skyrim, that's actual skooma, which is pink absinthe.
Okay.
Yeah, we got halfway through the bottle one night, and it was. Yeah, I'm not sure I recommend it. Yeah. There's the Christmas dinosaur, and up there's storage for all the flat pack boxes, but that's also where the Xbox is.
Okay. It's a nice little kind of comfy hideout.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of beanbags.
And you've cameras rigged up all over for purpose of streaming, recording.
Yeah, the plan now that this is actually filled and functional, because that's been a long process. But yeah, the idea is that we're going to get there's so many amazing artists here in Glasgow alone. So working with local artists to get them in to do, I don't know, like a week-long residency where patching on this for a week to do an EP or a track that will be on a future INSTRUO label release. But it means that I'll have a video switcher capture card set up that anytime something's ready, or even if we're just beta testing or patching, we can just hit record and capture multicam of the case, and the audio is eventually going to be hooked into all that. At the moment, we've got multiple mix points going to a stereo mixer.
Yeah, I really like this idea of the way it's being patched. So, I mean, there's a couple of INSTRUO rolls and then the kind of Franken-synth rolls, but you've seen top and bottom there's
top and bottom there's a Karn into a Cure, and
yeah.
the headphone output we've got normalized to the mixer.
Into a rack mixer. And that happens
twice per tower. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have these kind of, 8 stereo stems you can kind of look at it as?
Yeah. So we're looking into some options for, like, this is just a mixer, so if we want to record at the moment, the balanced outputs from each Karn is still patchable in there, so it could just go into a sound card, but eventually I'll get some sort of rack mount sound card to go in, so that would just be plug it in and you've got 16 tracks.
And you've overflow as well, which I thought was quite nice. I did notice the INSTRUO module library. Take it home and bring it back, which is nice.
Yeah, that rule doesn't often get followed. I think we need to enforce it a bit more now that the case exists. Like before that, we would do trades and get modules in from other companies following Superbooth, and they're in the workshop for all of a day, and then they kind of just disappear out to various cases. So there's a few that I'm not sure who's got the Chaos Dresno. There's a current thread going on the Slack where it's like, has anyone seen the other Chaos Devices stuff? So someone's having fun with it, and
that's good. It keeps them inspired, influences what they're doing, either musically or work-wise. Plenty of crazy oil arts images around as well.
Yeah, we're definitely running it. So that's the banner that Nicola painted for the booth this year. So Dermot mounted that on a frame the other day, so that's now up on the wall. Slightly squint CSL. There's more downstairs in the video room. Yeah, I'm definitely running out of canvas space. So yeah, this is the software development room, which used to be in that space over there, but that's the room that we have a skylight in, so it just gets way too hot in summer. So this kind of stays. Yeah, we're
another guitar. I didn't notice the Dan Electro.
Yeah,
I didn't notice this past couple of days. I do have a bit of a soft spot for the kind of wonkier Dan Electro end.
Yeah, so Keane works here, Dom's in and out and often sits there, Murdo, Finn, Adam. Lots of deep diving been going on here for the past years, like sort of researching different processor platforms, different frameworks. Basically far beyond my expertise now. Like I stick to more basic microcontroller programming for interface interfacing or user interfacing, and basic like CV control, or like the tie, the 4HP tie. That's kind of going to be the last project that I'm going to be doing solo and lead as a software task, because yeah, I can dive in and do a first pass with a board that's got a processor on it, and just to confirm I/O. But then I know my programming style is very punk rock, I guess. That's probably the best way to describe it. It kind of works, but then it very quickly gets bloated and is completely not portable. So there's so many functions I've got that I've used in the Harmony in previous quantizers that I've rewritten the same each time, because there's no way to just pull the code out because it's so scrappily written. Whereas a big plan of what's been going on in the last few years is building up more of an in-house resource and library. That means that any code that's written for a prototype, it could be easily reused in different contexts. So it's just going to mean that things will speed up and we'll be more efficient with getting things going, which yeah, it's really exciting. So I can just like do the first pass, confirm hardware's working, and then it becomes more of a creative back and forth of user interface and lighting design, and yeah, that's the fun part of the collaborative designing now. But I'm kind of just doing my own solo ones. Like there's some fun modules that I've been sketching out that are all analog, or it's maybe more simple, just microcontroller to control switch routing and stuff like that. So I'll kind of always have my own solo designs going forward in parallel to the wide range of collaborations, which yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Table tennis table's normally in here, so this is normally the ping pong hall, but it's currently...
Oh, I'll have to pull the ping pong Scatman modular.
We've got the contact mic going into Eurorack that's doing stuff that's triggering an arbor, which is currently loaded with samples from Scatman. Take it away.
Yeah, this is the room that gets too hot in summer. And we've got roofers coming, I think, next week to actually fix the leak, because it rains a lot in Scotland, so that was not the best idea. But it's made this whole upstairs space so much nicer, because this used to be, again, it was drop ceiling to like that line all the way around. So opening it up and then adding the height with the skylight, that's brought in natural light in here, so it's just made the upstairs so much more usable. Yeah, so this is storage room. That used to be storage room, but that's now moved down to the basement, and that's calibration testing. This is kind of hot desking and just overspill for extra space as needed for development projects, or yeah, I'm going to hang my hammock from the beams at some point, because this will be a nice spot to just sunbathe, I guess. Kitchen's there, more bathrooms there. I think the kitchen at some point, that might be the last bit of like building renovation to do. It's functional, but it'd be nice to have a wok burner so we can do like fried noodles for lunch or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, like you have a bathroom and a shower up here that's very nice.
Yeah. Like we got those done up just because a lot of folk live locally, so folk cycle in, so it gives the option of, you don't have to sit in
cycle juice.
Yeah. So this is the rather grungy back stairs, and then this is where the studios are. Like this used to be, when you saw it last trip you were up, this was completely just open. Yeah, it was space
right from this back spot back to where we started.
So it was it's a decent sized space. So we were able to. There's a good friend of me and Sai's who used to be Glasgow based, Pedros. He's in Athens. He's a architect that's speciality in acoustics and stuff. So he basically drew the blueprints up for us for ways to build it all. So it's proper floating floor, floating ceiling, room within room, double doors.
Studio block.
Yeah.
We'll come to in a sec.
Yeah, and this is my.
So people will have seen you in here before.
Yeah. So this is the setup where it's get the lights on. Nope, that's already powered.
The dark room for the video space.
Yeah. So I've got these mounted up and in what look like really broken positions, but this plus a diffuser box that I have here that gives me a nice even coverage for this.
Well, they might look odd, but obviously learning as I go, but found myself that you're just shining light off of something is often more valuable than just directly pointing it at it.
I went with dark grey walls, and I don't know if that was beneficial or not for light
I'm not
diffuser.
sure, because it can go too far.
Yeah.
Too much reflection and glare off of a white space can be tricky as well.
I got this overkill tripod, but this camera pretty much never leaves and is always there. I've got a little Canon that I can like hook over. So this is what gets zoomed in on the data, on the scope. So I can then like do that as an overlay and I'm not having to blow it. Although the Blackmagic cameras are capture at a ridiculous resolution. So I think it's probably 6.5 dozen. It just gives me a bit extra that I can just throw on.
Yeah, having a dedicated space makes a massive difference.
Yeah, yeah.
You couldn't have this in a development room.
No.
Well, you could, but there'd be a hell of a lot of just
so much
pulling
work
stuff
to
around.
like just set up, like being able to come in and be like, okay, it's going to take me maybe just a couple of hours in the morning to get everything rigged up again because everything's already in place. Whereas like if cameras are in a storeroom, having to get everything out, set everything up from scratch, it just adds so much more, not just time, but just work to...
It's like admin, it's like physical, mechanical admin. It totally takes you out of the zone. So the first studio we come to is Simon.
This is Simon's. Yeah, so I've got two entrances in mind. So there's this one, which is the public entrance, and then I've got the private entrance, which is actually looks like the entrance to the Ministry of Magic from Order of the Phoenix, I think. So I went black doors and black and gold to fit everything else. Hey, doggy. And this is Winston's studio bed, which is an actual futon that is never folded up into a couch because
it's Winston's.
It's Winston's, yeah.
I like the joint subSine INSTRUO.
Oh yeah, we got custom bedding for him.
Upholstery, it's great. So your kit, as you say, doing a lot with playing around with drums and modular and trying to integrate the two.
Yeah. So I had a setup. I've got a bunch of footage from like the tests and experiments that I'm going to be putting up online soon. So this is the patch still unchanged, so I should be able to get this back to life. But I was using a combination of acoustic snare, ride, splash cymbal, so, some just effect cymbals and stuff. Kick, I was just using the Roland V drums one because it's a small venue that I was gigging in the first run I was doing that. So I had this triggering kick samples from the Yamaha EAD10 as well as using just the trigger to ping a filter. So I had like a 1047 being like an 808 synth kick. So it was a proper hybrid kit for that. But the snare drum is the one using the Sunhouse sensory percussion sensors, which they're the ones that give you like location data from the strikes. I think they've partnered up with Evans, so I think there's a V2 of this that's like a more all-in-one box. But yeah, it's like, from what I remember reading, I think it's like 3 parallel pickups. Like there's a little magnetic pickup, so you epoxy a metal disc onto the head, which that lets you use it with mesh heads and stuff. But yeah, it works really well. So I was using this. I actually had it all through the ES9 as the interface. So this was going into the little Mikey as the preamp because this needs phantom power. That was then going into. I ended up not using Ableton in the end because I was using the Sunhouse software on its own, so that was doing the analysis, and I just had that bussing out MIDI into VCV-Rack, and that was curated using INSTRUO modules in VCV-Rack to give me envelopes, gates, triggers, and taking the bipolar, or mapping a CC from edge of the snare to the center, and being able to multiply that with velocity. So it was converted from MIDI to voltage, but the latency was ridiculously low. Like I'm really impressed with how responsive the whole system is. I mean, I had to optimize. I was running at a 32 buffer size and getting it really sharp because I wasn't doing any audio processing on the laptop. It was just reading this, so audio analysis in the Sunhouse plugin to MIDI straight into converted to voltage with the ES9. yeah, it's really fun. So I've got a bunch of documentation on where I got so far. The plan is to expand it to have more of the sensors on the other toms, so that I can actually use those as controllers.
Yeah.
But things like just like drop rolls or like just bouncing the stick, I was able to like trigger samples and have it like do like sort of really interesting textural stuff. Yeah, but that's kind of my ongoing project, is to do this for a next like bigger instructional live set
With the kit.
with the kit, which does mean I need to get some, you know, drum cases. I could probably borrow Jimmy's.
And a roadie.
But most importantly, I'll get the custom INSTRUO drum head for the front of the kit, because
Of course.
I went with one that's black and gold because it has to fit. Yeah, and this is actually starting to come together, and it gets used. Like most of the time I'm in here and I'm using this as a video editing suite. So once I've shot the overview videos, or I mean I was in here for days on end doing the Superbooth dock edit, but just having somewhere that I can shut the doors, and we've got pretty good sound isolation.
Yeah, I mean the double the doors sealing and
Yeah, it works.
shoving up
really
into
well.
the frame, you can really isolate yourself.
Yeah, it's panning out. I've got I did a trade with Recovery Effects, so I got one of the Endless Summer Rackament spring reverbs, which is nice. I've just got a weird assortment of stuff. The patch bay is all hooked up, so I've got various channels in and out of the Motu. Where's my map? There we are. I even drew a map and everything. Yeah. So I've got part of the channels like broken out to the Studio Master P7, so I can track into that, use those preamps going straight into the 16A, or I can bypass that, run that in and out. I've got a few bits of outboard gear, so I've built a couple of the is it Hairball Audio, I think's the company?
Yeah, Hairball rings a bell.
Yeah, it was Colin that recommended them, and the kits were really, really nicely curated. So I've got them. I built one, and then Noah built the second one, because we were looking at FET compressor circuits just for research. So that served as a useful way of researching it. But yeah, so those are now a calibrated pair. That's my Rhodes, which I do not play enough.
Rhodes number 3.
Yep. This was a fun challenge. I bought I think this is the Mark III TCSH kit.
Yeah, the human comparator.
Yeah, and
2600 clone.
I built this a good few years ago now, but I did it as a fun challenge where Emma was away for the weekend, so I gave myself Saturday and Sunday to build it. And
okay, that's intense.
It was fun. Like it was a couple of late nights, but I got it done. The only part that needs a bit of tweaking is the reverb tank send return, but that's more the I've not got the tank properly fitted in, but everything else is working very nicely. So nailed it.
Yeah. It's nice to see an all dope for case as well.
Oh yeah. That was my first Eurorack case, like when I was living in Boston. So I got that, and for the longest time I was using all the Dope4 modules in Softube Modular when I was teaching my sound design course.
Okay.
So just because that was a fully modular interface that people could have, and those models are great. Like I ended up like buying a lot of the actual hardware modules so that I could build a hardware reference point, so when I'm doing the course I could show, okay, and this is how close they are. Like they're really accurately modeled. So I've got that just as a resource in house. But it's a nice like I couldn't get some of the modules that were this exact ones from that are in Softube Modular. Like I think it was the LFO. I couldn't get a hold of just the classic one that was there. So I've got like the the
modern version of
yeah. But yeah, it's
Science Lab chic. I say there's a nice thing about an all dope for rig.
Yeah, I'd like that was a plan. Like that's why I kept that case for years. It was like it'll be nice to fill out just an actual doper system.
So as we head back, we should caffeinate.
Coffee time.
Yeah. But before we do, it might be a nice time to hear a little bit from subSine. Hello.
Hello.
So we met in the old space and got to learn what subSine was personally back then, but you've got your own new studio in here. You've got the new academy space as well, new learning space. Who are you and what do you do?
I'm Simon Stokes, and I'm an Ableton certified trainer and an artist as well. So I produce music under the name Petrichor. I've released a lot of stuff on Soma Records and other kind of techno labels over the years, and done a lot of touring as a live artist and a DJ as well. But yeah, about 4 years ago, Jason and I picked up this building, which was just a warehouse at the time. And we've spent a bit of time just like ripping the place out, building in studios. This is my personal studio in here. We've built my music school, subSine Academy, where I teach people electronic music from like beginners right through to releasing, touring. Lots of our students are touring now.
It's a really vibrant space. Yesterday when I arrived, there's a workshop going on with a DJ that was here to play in Glasgow that night. There's another today, I believe.
Yeah.
No, Jason runs sound design workshops.
Yeah, we've got a whole range of stuff, and it's just kind of growing and growing because we've got these facilities that we're able to just put on whatever we want. Events, we're not kind of like beholden to anyone, so we kind of just do the stuff that we love and follow our own wee passions. So like if there's a DJ playing in town, who's someone that I really love or my students really love, then I'll just like try and get them in to do a masterclass for people. This weekend I've got like a whole weekend course that I'm teaching, so it's like Ableton Live stuff, covering everything from like core stuff like using compression and racks to like FM sound design in quite a lot of detail, live performance and kind of getting into the industry, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we do these like weekend intensive courses and evening courses, and yeah, aside from that, I'm also like work in the studio here a lot with artists as a mix engineer and a mastering engineer and a production engineer as well. So I work with a lot of people in that regard too.
How to caffeinate with INSTRUO.
Okay, we're on.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the most important procedure to know how to do in the INSTRUO workshop, is how to caffeinate. So first step, I like to warm the mug a bit. I just run in some hot water in, let that sit for a minute while picking the handle. This is very precise, it's 5 minutes 55-second grind for this particular roast, which I can't remember the details. It's a new roast from Paper Cup. Which we get in like big boxes of 10 kilograms at a time.
How long does 10 kilogram of beans last?
About a month, maybe a month and a bit.
Okay.
I tend to lean into the tamp a little bit. I like, this is the biggest variable for getting a degree of strength, because the weight of grind is dialed in for this particular bean, and this machine goes on a fixed quantity of water. So, there we go. And this the target is 30 seconds. So it should take 30 seconds for the calibrated quantity of water to run through. Stop. Stop. 34 seconds. That's all right. It'll maybe be on the slightly stronger side than if it was 30 seconds. And that's an espresso shot right there. If that's your preference. Just a wee rinse. Always in the handle. You like yours top slightly?
Yeah. There we go. Slightly long, black it out. Yep. Amazing. Crazy oil arts mug. So thanks for having us, Jay, and showing not just myself the new space, but everyone else that gets to watch this as well. Tons of new stuff coming.
Yeah, you've had a sneak peek of various prototypes and works in progress. So yeah,
Yeah, and
Not
masses
going to be
of
slowing down anytime soon.
no, and masses of creativity among the team as well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming.